The sky turned red before the first blast hit. Eli Ward stood on a rooftop in the center of Denver and watched the horizon split open. The clouds glowed like metal in a furnace. The alien ships came down in a line, dark and sharp, their engines rumbling through the air like thunder trapped inside steel. He had warned them. For years he had warned everyone. No one listened. They said he was paranoid, said no one could cross light years just to destroy a small blue planet. Now the city burned beneath him. The first wave hit the ground 2 miles away. The shock threw him forward. His helmet slammed against concrete. When he looked up, towers were falling and the streets looked like rivers of fire. The power grid had died. The comms were down. All that was left was the static hum of panic on the emergency channel. Eli pulled himself up and ran down the stairs. Every floor smelled like smoke and hot plastic. Civilians were screaming in the halls. He shouted for them to move, to get to the underground tunnels. Some ran, some just stood frozen, watching the world fall apart through the glass. Outside, the sky was full of burning wrecks. Human fighters tried to rise, but the alien beams cut through them like paper. The city's defense drones launched from rooftops, but they lasted seconds before they turned into falling sparks. Eli reached his squad at the edge of a broken street. There were only 5 of them now. Their armor was scratched, the paint burned off. Sergeant Cruz handed him a rifle and said, "Command's gone. Nobody's answering." Eli looked at the horizon. "Then we move without them." They started down the ruined street. The sound of alien engines grew louder. One of the ships hovered low, its hull covered in glowing marks like veins of light. Something mechanical crawled out from under it. Machines shaped like animals walking on 6 legs, their metal skin shifting like liquid. "Contact," Eli said. The squad took cover behind wrecked cars. Gunfire burst through the smoke. The machines fired back with blue plasma that melted concrete. Cruz went down screaming, his armor half gone. Eli dragged him back, but Cruz's body was already still. The fight was short. The machines stopped moving after Eli's last grenade hit their power cores. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. He could hear his heart pounding in the helmet. The air tasted like blood and metal. He knelt beside Cruz and shut his eyes. "We hold this sector," he said quietly, though no one answered. Then the radio cracked with a sound that didn't belong. It was not human speech. The signal carried strange rhythm and static, then shifted into English. "The Empire claims your world," it said in a voice that sounded half machine. Eli stared at his comm unit. The message repeated, but behind the main transmission he caught a faint layer of code. He filtered it through his suit's decryption tool. The pattern was old. Human military encryption. Someone from Earth had sent the signal before the aliens repeated it. He froze. His throat went dry. Someone had given them access. Someone on Earth. Before he could process it, a beam of light cut through the block and turned 3 buildings into dust. The ground shook. Eli fell backward, covering his face from the heat. When he looked again, his squad's dropship was gone. Only a smoking crater remained. He was alone now. The comm still hissed in his ear. The alien voice repeated the message one more time, slower this time, almost like a taunt. "The Empire claims your world." But beneath it, the same hidden code whispered again. Human origin. The tag signature read only one thing. Sent from Earth Command. Eli moved through the ruins at dawn. The air was thick with dust and the smell of burnt fuel. Every step crunched on broken glass and twisted steel. He kept his rifle close and his helmet scanner running. No sign of life. No sound but wind moving through empty buildings. The signal still played in his comm every hour, the same voice saying the same words. But Eli had pulled the hidden code apart. It came from a base in the Rockies, somewhere deep under old command territory. Human hands had sent it. Someone from the top. He crossed a collapsed highway and saw smoke rising in the distance. A convoy had been hit there. He moved closer, checking bodies as he passed. They wore human armor, but the metal looked wrong, like it had been reshaped by alien tech. Their weapons were the same mix of human design and foreign engineering. One still hummed with blue light. He picked it up, turned it in his hands, and felt the cold hum of power. The Empire was not fighting alone. Someone had traded Earth's defense for survival. A sound came from behind a wrecked bus. Eli turned fast, rifle up. A figure stepped out with hands raised. It was a woman in tattered uniform, her rank patch burned off. Her voice shook. "Don't shoot, you're human." "Name," Eli said. "Lieutenant Vera Kane. I was with the 12th Armored. They took our base. Most joined them. The rest ran." Eli lowered the gun a little. "Joined who?" "The cooperators," she said. "They say we can't win, so they serve the Empire now. They get food, weapons, shelter. The rest of us die." Eli's jaw tightened. "Where's their base?" "Rocky Command. They took it over last week." That name hit him hard. The hidden signal had come from the same location. He looked at her and said, "Can you take me there?" She nodded. "If we live that long." They moved together through the dead city. Every few minutes, drones passed above them, scanning with red light. They hid under wrecks and rubble until the sound faded. Vera spoke as they moved. "They use our own network. The Empire doesn't need to break codes when they already control the people who built them." By nightfall, they reached the mountain pass. Snow mixed with ash in the wind. The entrance to Rocky Command was sealed behind heavy blast doors. 2 guards stood outside wearing hybrid armor like the dead soldiers from before. Eli and Vera watched from behind a ridge. "They're human," she whispered. "They're traitors," he said. "We go in quiet." They waited for the guards to separate, then moved down the slope. Eli shot the first in the chest. The second turned, shouting, but Vera silenced him with a short burst. The bodies dropped without noise. They dragged them behind the rocks and took their access cards. Inside, the air was different. Clean. Pressurized. The corridor lights were bright and steady. The walls looked rebuilt with alien materials, smooth and seamless. Human tech couldn't do that. They followed the sound of engines deeper inside. Voices echoed from a control room ahead. Eli peeked around the corner and saw soldiers standing around a table covered with maps and holograms. At the center was a man in dark armor that gleamed like glass. He was human, but his voice carried the same metallic echo as the alien transmission. "We serve the Empire to survive," the man said. "Earth is lost. We build a new order under their rule." Vera's hand shook as she whispered, "That's Colonel Rafe. He commanded the Western Defense Grid." Eli stepped forward and aimed his rifle. "You sold us out." Rafe turned slowly. His eyes glowed faint blue. "You warned them, Captain Ward. You told them this would happen. I listened. That's why I joined them." Before Eli could fire, alarms started to scream. Red lights flashed across the hall. Rafe smiled. "You shouldn't have come here." The floor trembled. Steel doors began to close on both sides of the corridor. Vera shouted, "They're sealing us in." Eli fired once, hitting Rafe's shoulder, but the shot barely slowed him. The colonel's armor shifted and sealed itself. Behind him, alien drones dropped from the ceiling. Eli grabbed Vera's arm and ran for cover. Plasma fire lit the hall. The blast door behind them locked tight. He slammed a code breaker into the next panel, praying it still worked. The door opened to a tunnel leading down. They slid through and fell into darkness as the drones closed in. At the bottom, Eli's helmet light flicked on. The tunnel stretched deep under the mountain. On the wall beside him, glowing letters marked an access panel. It read, "Authorized by command. Eli Ward." The tunnel air was cold and heavy. Eli stood still, staring at the glowing panel with his name written on it. His pulse thudded in his ears. Vera looked at him, confused and afraid. "That's your name," she said. "How can that be?" Eli didn't answer. He reached for the panel, pressed his hand against it. The lock clicked open without any code. The door slid aside, showing a deep chamber filled with machines. Blue lights pulsed along the walls. The sound of engines echoed from far below. "This place knows me," Eli said quietly. Vera followed, gun raised. "What is this?" The chamber opened into a narrow bridge leading to a glass control platform. Below, hundreds of pods glowed in rows. Inside each one was a human body. Soldiers, civilians, all asleep or dead, he couldn't tell. Tubes ran into their necks. The air smelled like metal and blood. Vera stepped closer to one of the pods. "They're alive. I can see movement." Eli checked the console. The screen showed human DNA patterns mixed with alien symbols. The data made no sense to him, but his name appeared again at the top of the list. Eli Ward, active subject. He backed away. "This isn't a command base, it's a lab." The comm in his helmet clicked. A deep voice came through, calm and cold. "Captain Ward, you're late." Eli froze. "Who is this?" The voice ignored his question. "Your work continues below the mountain. The Empire is grateful. Without your code, Earth would still resist." Vera looked at him. "They think you work for them." "I don't," Eli said. "Someone used my ID. Someone copied me." The voice spoke again. "You misunderstand. You are the copy." Eli felt his stomach twist. "That's a lie. The original still sleeps," the voice said. "You were made to finish what he began." Eli shut off the comm and smashed the console with his rifle. Sparks flew. The lights flickered. "We're leaving." They moved fast through the bridge, but an alarm blared before they reached the exit. Heavy doors slammed down ahead. From the shadows, the hybrid soldiers appeared again, their armor glowing faint blue. They raised their weapons. Eli fired first. The shots tore through the nearest one, but the rest spread out, moving in perfect rhythm. Vera threw a grenade and they dropped behind cover as the blast ripped through the walkway. The air filled with smoke and heat. They ran through the haze toward another door. Eli used the access card from one of the dead guards. It opened into a maintenance shaft. They climbed down into darkness, boots hitting steel rungs fast and rough. Below them, the sound of machinery grew louder. When they reached the bottom, they stood inside a massive tunnel where drones moved crates filled with weapons. Alien energy cores glowed in each container. A transport rail ran along the wall, leading deeper underground. Vera looked at him. "If they used your name, if they built you, then they built others." Eli nodded. "And maybe the real me is one of those things in the pods." They followed the rail. Ahead, a lift was rising with soldiers aboard. Eli motioned for Vera to take cover. When the lift stopped, they attacked fast and silent. 2 soldiers fell before they could fire. The last one shouted, "Ward's alive! Secure the chamber!" Then Eli silenced him with a blade. They took the lift and rode it up. The air grew colder. When the door opened, they stepped into a circular room filled with screens showing the planet from orbit. The image was clear. Dozens of alien ships above Earth, releasing swarms of fire into the atmosphere. At the center of the room stood a single pod, larger than the others. A body floated inside, connected to wires and tubes. The face was human. The face was his. Vera whispered, "Eli, that's you." He moved closer, staring through the glass. The eyes inside the pod opened. The man inside looked at him and whispered through the speaker built into the glass. "You're the shadow," the voice said. "I'm the real one." The horizon's edge was dragged into the hold of the alien flagship. Metal screamed as the hull touched the living walls of the enemy ship. The humans were trapped. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Smoke filled the bridge. Leo Grant pushed himself up from the floor. Half his crew was gone. The rest stared at the screen where the Zareth ship's ESS interior glowed like a deep red wound. The human engines were dead. The power core was drained. Cole coughed beside him. "Sir, they've got us. We can't break free." Leo looked at Lysera. She stood near the wall, her face cold. "You said he wanted you alive. What happens now?" Her voice was quiet. "He takes us aboard. You will be prisoners. Then he decides how to make you suffer." Alien drones cut through the hull, filling the air with a hiss. Armor plates fell. The Zareth soldiers entered, tall, armored in bone-like suits, eyes glowing. They moved without sound. The humans raised their weapons but were outnumbered. Leo dropped his rifle. He knew it was over. They were surrounded. The Zareth leader stepped forward. He had dark gray skin, his face hidden by a living mask that pulsed like muscle. He looked at Lysera and bowed. "My princess." Lysera did not move. Her voice was sharp. "Take us to him." The alien nodded. "He waits." They were taken through the corridors of the alien flagship. The walls pulsed like veins. Strange energy moved through them, humming in rhythm with the ship's core. Leo's stomach turned at the smell, metal, oil, and something alive. He could feel the heat of the ship through his armor. The Zareth guards pushed them into a vast chamber filled with light. At its center stood the Emperor. He was enormous, wrapped in armor that shifted and breathed. His eyes burned gold, like Lysera's, but colder. Leo stood tall, even with blood on his face. "You must be the one giving the orders." The Emperor turned his gaze to him. "You are the human who took my daughter." Lysera's head lowered. "Father." He looked at her. "You were captured, yet you live. That means they showed you mercy." His tone turned dark. "They should not have." Leo stepped forward. "We didn't come here to torture her. The war ended. She was taken as a prisoner of war. Nothing more." The Emperor's voice rumbled. "War never ends. You humans believe you win because you burn what you fear, but what you fear always returns." He raised his hand. A field of light surrounded Leo, forcing him to his knees. Pain shot through his body like fire. He gritted his teeth and glared up. "You think this makes you a god? You're just another monster." The Emperor stared at him. "And you are just another soldier who thinks courage can change fate." He looked at Lysera. "You will watch him die, then you will come home." Lysera's face twisted with pain. "No, I won't." The light field faded. Leo gasped for air. Lysera turned toward her father. "This war kills both sides. I have seen it. The humans are not what you told us. They fight because they must." The Emperor stepped closer. "You speak their lies now. I speak truth." The room went silent. The guards raised their weapons. Leo slowly stood. The Emperor's hand trembled with rage. "Then you are no daughter of mine." The ship suddenly shook. A blast ripped through the lower deck. Leo looked up, hearing human gunfire echo in the distance. Cole's voice came over a nearby comm. "Sir, reinforcements broke through. We're boarding the ship." The Emperor turned his eyes toward the sound. His face hardened. "Then we will end this now." Lysera looked at Leo, her eyes full of fear and resolve. "He'll destroy everything. You have to stop him." Leo grabbed her arm. "Then help me do it." The chamber doors blew open and the chaos of war came flooding back inside. The tunnel shook as the mountain above began to fall. Eli pulled Vera through the collapsing passage. Fire rolled down the walls, chasing them like a living wave. They reached an old maintenance door and forced it open. Cold air rushed in, carrying ash and the smell of smoke. They stumbled out onto a cliffside. The night sky burned orange. Pieces of the alien ship fell from orbit, crashing into the valleys below. The control core explosion had reached the surface. The entire mountain looked like it was tearing itself apart. Vera fell to her knees, gasping. "We did it," she said. "The link is broken." Eli looked up at the sky. The alien fleet above Earth had shifted position. Their formation broke apart as signals flickered and vanished. Some ships drifted dead in orbit. Others turned toward the edge of space, retreating from the planet's pull. But one ship stayed, the largest of them, the command vessel. Eli clenched his jaw. "Voran's still up there?" Vera shook her head. "You can't fight him. The explosion should have killed him." Eli stared at the burning clouds. "He's not dead. I can feel it." He turned toward a wrecked shuttle nearby, half buried in the dirt. Its hull was cracked, but the thrusters still glowed faintly. He moved fast, checking the controls. "Help me get this running." Vera followed, her hands trembling. "Where are we going?" "To finish it," Eli said. They worked in silence. The shuttle coughed once, then came alive with a low hum. The floor shook as the engines fought to lift from the ground. Eli strapped in, face pale but eyes sharp. Vera touched his shoulder. "If you go up there, you won't come back." Eli gave a small nod. "Then make sure what we did here matters. Get the survivors together. Tell them Earth still fights." She wanted to stop him, but couldn't. The look in his eyes was final. He closed the hatch before she could speak again. The shuttle lifted through the smoke, rising fast into the burning sky. Eli's hands shook on the controls. The planet shrank beneath him, a wounded world wrapped in clouds and fire. He pushed the thrusters harder. The black of space filled the window, and the alien flagship came into view ahead, massive and alive with light. The comm crackled. A deep voice came through, heavy and calm. "You survived." It was Voran. Eli tightened his grip on the controls. "You're finished." Voran's tone didn't change. "You are human. You burn fast and die faster. But you learn. That makes you dangerous. The Empire will study that." Eli's shuttle locked onto the ship's outer hull. He grabbed his rifle and the last charge pack from his belt. The airlock opened with a hiss. He stepped into the wrecked corridor of the alien flagship. The walls pulsed faintly with power, alive like muscle. He moved quickly through the ship, following the sound of heavy breathing and metal scraping. The hallway opened into a wide chamber lit by blue fire. Voran stood at the center, armor cracked and smoking but still strong. His eyes glowed like molten glass. "You come alone," Voran said. "I only need one," Eli answered. They clashed in silence. Every strike echoed like thunder. Eli's rifle broke under a hit from Voran's blade. He rolled aside, grabbed a piece of fallen metal and drove it into the general's armor joint. Sparks burst. Voran struck back, cutting deep into Eli's side, but the human didn't fall. Eli grabbed the power core from his pack and slammed it into the ship's floor. Lights flashed red across the chamber. The overload began. Voran looked around, realization hitting him too late. "You will die with me." Eli stepped closer, bleeding but steady. "Then we die on my terms." He hit the detonator. The explosion ripped through the chamber. The flagship burst apart in orbit, a wave of fire and metal lighting the dark. On Earth, Vera watched from the cliff as a bright light cut across the night sky. The last of the alien fleet broke apart and vanished. She dropped her weapon and closed her eyes. The radio on her wrist crackled once. A faint voice came through the static. "Warning sent," it said. "Earth still stands." Then the line went silent.